So this is one of the first Q&As I'm doing because I get so many questions, and I figured that if I do a Q&A and answer these questions, a lot of people will have the same exact questions, and if you hear my answers, it'll just help you out. So on today's episode, I want to show you or explain to you more in deeper detail some of the questions that you may be having. So feel free to drop down in the comments somewhere down below any questions you have regarding health, fitness, weight loss, nutrition, anything that revolves around that, and I will look at the comments and I'll get back to or I'll answer some of the people that may have questions. And before I get into this, if you can hear me and see me, so I got a little new setup going on. If you can hear me and see me, just drop a fire emoji down below and let me know if you're watching me on the live or the replay. Just type live or replay down below so I know when you saw this video and when you got this information. Let me just see if these comments are coming through. Just drop down a comment and I'll see if it's actually going in because I can't see anything right now. Let's see if it's going. Type into chat. Okay, cool. I can see everyone. Perfect. So drop down your questions in the comments and I'll get back to as many people as I can. So one of the first things I want to cover is one of the most widely questions that I get is how do you find your calorie maintenance or your deficit? So while calories are important, counting them isn't the most important thing. But really briefly, if you want a very, wide, non-accurate approach, just like a good enough, you can do one of two things. You can take your current body weight goal body weight, multiply by anywhere from 12 to 15. That's a very rough estimate. It's not accurate whatsoever. If you want a bit more accurate guesstimation, you can type in TDEE calculator into Google, and there's probably 100 of them out there. They're more accurate, but the most accurate by far is if you track all of your food intake. I mean, all of it consistently for about a month or so, anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 weeks, and see how much you're eating relative to how your weight is fluctuating. Once your weight stops fluctuating, and you see what you're eating that caused your weight fluctuation to stop fluctuating, that is your maintenance calories. Once you get your maintenance number, you subtract about 300 to 500 per day, and that's roughly what you should be eating to be in a caloric deficit. That's the most accurate way, but it's also the way that most people won't do. It's just too detail oriented. So as far as for general goals, one of the first two things that I talked about are, the good enough. I would personally go with a TDEE calculator. It's not going to be accurate, but it'll be good enough. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Chrissy asks, what do I use for a food journal in my weight loss journey? So I use primarily MyFitnessPal for over 8 years, probably since it came out. For now, I still use it. You don't need the paid version. The free version is totally fine. You can even if you don't like MyFitnessPal, there's probably different kinds of apps out there nowadays that I don't know about. I think Noom, I believe, or Lose It. Even a piece of paper and a pen or pencil and paper is good enough as long as you write it down. But the fact that you write it down is much more important than what you write it down on. Because if you just eat food and kind of guesstimate what you're eating, it's not accurate at all. But if you write food down, it helps you create better habits for the meals going forward because you're more self-accountable if you write the food down. That's where the key is. Hopefully that explains it. If you have any other questions, just drop a question down below. And if you can hear me and see me, just drop a fire emoji so I know you can actually hear me right now because I don't know if it's actually going through. Let's see who else has any questions. Yoga or weight, what is better? If you have lower back issues, that's in a personal preference. I mean, weights and yoga aren't necessary. They're good additions because nutrition is the most important part. You just find what you like to do and stick with it. The most important part is to be a bit active and make sure it's enjoyable. If you hate doing something, if it's not sustainable, not enjoyable from day one, can you realistically see yourself doing this for 2 years down the line? Probably not. But if you take something that's enjoyable, even though somebody else may not like it, doesn't matter what somebody else likes, it's about what you like. So find an activity that you like, you enjoy, and you can see yourself doing sustainably for a long period of time. That's the most important part, and stick with it. Yeah, Noom is great. It makes no difference what you use. They're all relatively accurate. But the fact that you actually use something to track your calories or your food intake is good enough. And good enough is what we're after, not perfection, because perfection isn't sustainable. As far as liquid calories, in regards to weight loss, why liquid calories should be restricted, not eliminated, because everybody gets at me for saying, oh, you said eliminate. I never said eliminate. I said restrict. By restricting, why it's helpful in a weight loss phase is because chewing food, digesting the food from whole foods is much more beneficial for weight loss because it keeps you fuller for longer. And the most important part why people fall off of losing weight is because they get too hungry. And if you just make sure most of your nutrition revolves around whole foods that you can actually chew, break down, digest slowly, it will keep you fuller, which will keep you on the right track. And you will not be you won't be snacking as nearly as much as if your calories were from liquids, like maybe smoothies, maybe it's soda, juices, maybe even liquid calories by means of dressings, sauces, um, oils, even, because those, they have nutrition, by of course they do, they have calories, but they're not really beneficial for weight loss because they don't fill you up. But if you have trouble gaining weight, for you, it's probably better to eat, or I mean, drink or consume more liquid calories because you can't eat that much food, just not hungry. So it's about what your goals are and about what the best food choices are for those goals. If you're trying to lose weight, it's probably better to chew more food, more whole foods, because your goal is to stay as full for as long a period of time as you can. That's the most important part. Keep asking me questions. I love to see people just engaging and just asking me, because if you have a question, I guarantee somebody else has the same exact question. So I'm not only answering you specifically, but a lot of people that also have the same exact question. Um, Walking, what speed? Makes no difference. Don't power walk, but also don't do like a leisure walk. Walk at a pace that's kind of decent, because sustainability is the most important part. If you're power walking, I mean, you don't need to. The goal is to create consistency. So if walking at an average pace is fine for you, it's still going to burn calories, but it's not going to burn calories as quickly. But we're not after speed. We're after consistency in the walking. So pick a speed that's doable for you and try to be as consistent with that speed as you can. Don't worry about increasing it or reducing it. Make sure it's manageable. Manageable and sustainable is the most important part as far as walking, because you can do incline walking and burn more calories, but it's on a per person basis. The speed doesn't matter so much, nearly as much as you getting X amount of steps in consistently. Consistency, I say this all the time with everything, is the most important part, which is why I don't suggest running, because running is just not sustainable. It is for some people. For the vast majority of people, running is not sustainable, especially if somebody's overweight or obese, like I was. Let's see what else we got here. I love the turnout today. It's awesome. So keep asking me these questions. And if you know somebody else they might want to be part of this live, tag them in the comments, share this video. I would love to, have more people be a part of this. If you hit a plateau, I see Cheryl says she hit a plateau for a long time. And one of the things that gets people out of a plateau, it's not what you think it is. It's not trying something different. One of the things that gets a vast majority of people out of a weight loss stall or a plateau is tracking your food. Simply put, because what happens a lot of times is we don't track food at all. We keep eating healthy, right? But you can eat healthy and eat too many calories. But if you start tracking your food and being more conscious of your choices and more self accountable, you get to actually make, by the act of tracking food, you end up eating less calories because you're more conscious of what choices you're making. So if you track your food and change nothing else, you will be more self-accountable for the choices, and you will, as a result, likely break that plateau, because that plateau is usually created by guesstimations. I'm guessing I'm eating this much. Oh, I think I ate right for the last week. Well, all of these guessings, they kind of like they create peaks and valleys where you don't really understand what you're eating. But if you track your food and you're in a plateau, you will start seeing better results. I can almost guarantee that. Unless you are tracking food already meticulously, consistently, then it's a whole different conversation. But if you're not tracking food or calories and you feel like you're in a plateau, start to track food and you will see a direct response because you will start losing weight just by doing that simple habit. Hopefully that explains it. Let's see who else we got. If walking is impossible due to heel spurs, bike riding, swimming, and though swimming isn't accessible for a lot of people, even like some home workout, maybe some core exercises, something that burns some calories, but it's sustainable. It doesn't have to be walking, bike riding, maybe a stationary bike, um, any kind of a home workout, maybe anything else that burns calories is good enough. Make sure that it's not high impact. It's very sustainable. Best lower belly workout. Well, the best exercise to burn belly fat is there's no exercise that burns belly fat. It just does not exist. Anybody else that tells you otherwise, a straight line to your face. There is no specific exercise ever that can target a specific area of your body. Because when you lose fat everywhere. It doesn't The ratios where your body sustains the fat is different per person. So the best thing to lose fat in your belly is to lose fat everywhere by means of eating properly for your goals, eating less calories than your body needs to sustain its weight. So if you create a caloric deficit, either by counting calories or just by using a different method to reduce your calories, you will lose belly fat because you're going to lose fat everywhere. That's just how it works. So do not Google any kind of uh, lower belly fat burning workouts. It doesn't work. You can do a million core exercises, and if your nutrition isn't right, you will not see change as far as belly fat unless your caloric energy output is different. Your energy balance is different, which will cause the fat loss. So don't worry about those details. They don't matter. Anybody tells you that, oh, do this exercise, it'll burn belly fat, they're lying to your face. How do you stay out of the peanut butter at midnight? Well, late night snacking is a big deal for a lot of people, including myself. And what I recommend as far as late night snacking, first of all, peanut butter is delicious. But if something is delicious and you're hungry or kind of hungry, you're going to end up eating a whole bunch of it. So what I would recommend is take your dinner. First of all, make it your largest meal could be of the day. Make your dinner larger in volume. Maybe make it a salad or add vegetables to the side of it, more lean proteins. Make that dinner fill you up for as long period of time as possible. Because if your dinner is at 6 or 7 and you go to sleep at 10 or 11, that's a long window of opportunity to get hungry and start snacking. So make your dinner larger so it fills you up for longer. And number 2, make sure your dinner, push it a bit closer to bedtime. So if your dinner is at 6, you go to sleep at 10, make your dinner at 8. That's 2 hours less you have to start getting hungry and snacking. Because if you have too much time between dinner and going to sleep, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be more difficult to control yourself because you will be hungry and you will start snacking. How do you stay motivated? How do you fight binge eating? Well, as far as motivation, uh, you will not be motivated all the time. Probably 1% of the time you can be motivated. So what you have to do is create momentum by habits, by creating discipline, by simple non-negotiable habits that you do every day no matter what. If you keep relying on motivation, you're going to find that it's not going to be there when you need it most. That's absolutely true, because you may be motivated Monday and Tuesday of January or whatever, but come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or February, you're not going to be motivated. You're going to feel burnt out. You might feel like it's too much or just not for you. So you got to just get away from the mentality of wanting to be motivated and start creating that momentum, because you got to have these non-negotiable habits, things that you do no matter what, because that will keep driving you forward. Because motivation, if you keep relying on it, is going to let you down more oftentimes than not. That's guaranteed. If you feel motivated, that's awesome. Do whatever you can. But if you're not motivated, what do you do? And you will not be motivated most of the time. And when you're not motivated most of the time, like, what do you do? That's what matters. That's where your focus should be. Weekly workout schedule depends on your level of physical capabilities. If it's for a beginner, I'm not sure if you're asking for a beginner or not. Um, if you're a beginner at home, I would say a upper body day, a lower body day, and maybe a full body day. Maybe 2, 3 full body days. It depends on you, but I would just try to hit each muscle group twice a week at minimum. That is my recommendation if you're at the gym or at home. So if you have any idea about making a workout program for yourself, if you have no idea what you should be doing, look at a muscle group and then try to work that muscle group twice a week as a general high level like overview. And then pick exercises that you like, because that's the most important part. Don't feel forced to do like lunges or some kind of crazy squats. Don't worry about that. Figure out what you like. Make sure it hits the muscle group minimum once, but usually about twice a week, and work from there. Yeah, 3 day split with working out or with cardio in between. That's perfect. 3 day split is more than good enough, because what people tend to do is they do way too much from the beginning. They burn out, they get too sore, they can't move their body, and they give up. The goal isn't soreness. Soreness is not an indicator of growth. You have to get stronger, increase the reps, increase the weight, or reduce the rest periods you have between workouts. But workouts, they're important, but they're not nearly as important as getting your nutrition down right. See, Mandy asks, if you have a calorie deficit and exercising 30 minutes daily, but still not losing after 2 weeks, what could be the issue? Um, so you have to look at not just the weight. Are you losing inches? Because that's also something you have to pay attention to. Are your clothes fitting better? How are your progress photos going? Because if you're exercising and you're new, likely your body is changing. You're getting muscle in some areas, your fat is reducing in other areas. So your body is changing. You're going through a body recomposition in a sort of way. So you got to look at other details. The scale only says one piece of the puzzle. It's never the entire overview. It's really not. So you got to look at all of these details and then come to a conclusion how your body is doing. It's all the details. It's never just about the weight. Let's see. If you can hear me and see me, drop a fire emoji down below so I can know you're watching me with me. Or you're watching me here. Shakes. I think somebody asked about shakes. But if you do, when do I do shakes? As far as like, I'm guessing it's a protein shake. Heather asks. Protein shakes. I've been on a smoothie kick lately, and it doesn't matter where you do them. People keep saying, "Oh, you should have a protein shake 30 minutes after a workout." It's nonsense. Your body, first of all, that protein that you drink has to be digested. It doesn't just go straight into your bloodstream and then gets used to the like. It doesn't work like that. As long as you have protein continuously digesting in your system throughout the day, you'll be fine. Don't stress over those details about when should I be eating. When's the best time to eat? There's no best time, because you have to manage hunger. When's the best time to eat for you to manage hunger? For me, it's later at night because I tend to eat in the evening. So for me, it's best to eat more in the evening, because if I don't, I just end up snacking on food. So what's best is best for you. If you want to do a shake after a workout because you want to, do that. But don't feel forced to drink a protein shake after a workout because you feel like it'll go straight to your muscles and that's the best thing. It doesn't work like that. So if you don't feel satisfied with a protein shake, I don't either. So I usually drink a protein shake with a fruit. I throw it into a smoothie and I put some frozen berries into it, so it fills me up more. Because my mentality regarding every single food that I eat is this going to fill me up? When that's a mentality surrounding your food choices, you tend to make better choices. So if I look at a piece of chocolate and I'm hungry and I ask that myself, now my choices are, well, that chocolate probably won't fill me up. So let me go grab an actual meal or a higher volume snack that will fill me up more than a piece of chocolate, because volume eating is huge. And if you don't adopt the concept of eating higher volume, lower calorie foods in a weight loss phase, it's not going to be easy. Or it's going to be a lot more difficult for you. What can food after? I'm not sure what that's asking. Watching from Canada, what's going on? Pea protein is better than whey protein. Whey protein is the best one, but it better in regards to you individually. If you digest pea protein better, by all means drink it. There's no best. Whey is just really, really good. If you're a vegetarian, do pea proteins. Yeah, if you want to put protein into your coffee, it's a great idea. If you have any other questions, shoot me down in the comments. I'll get back to as many people as I can. Intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, is it good? It depends to you. First of all, intermittent fasting is, before I say anything, is I've done it for years. I'm a personal, um, not like not a believer, but there's nothing to believe as far as intermittent fasting. It just works because it creates a caloric deficit by means of a time restriction. Intermittent fasting is not magical. There's no magical concept. There's no special fat burning, anything. It creates a caloric deficit by means of restricting your time window of eating. So, for example, if your eating window is from 12 to 8 p.m., you went from eating a little bit before 12 and a little bit maybe after 8. So now you tell yourself, I can't eat anything before 12 and after 8. So your tiny bit of snacking in those periods are now zeros. So you went from eating something outside your eating window to eating nothing outside your eating window. So that reduces your calories, which puts you in a caloric deficit. And if you want to do intermittent fasting and it works for your schedule, give it a shot. It's not magical, but don't look at it as a solution because it does something that nothing else does. Every diet works because of a caloric deficit. But is it sustainable? And is it realistic for you and your daily schedule? If it's not, don't do it. But if you want to try intermittent fasting, give it a shot. It's not magical. It just helps create the caloric deficit, kind of like keto. Why does keto work? Well, you can't eat carbs, so you create a caloric deficit by limiting all of these other possible food choices. And being that carbs are absolutely delicious, if you can't eat carbs anymore, that just reduces your overall food choices, which makes it easier for some people. Hopefully that explains it. What do you think about artificial sweeteners? So I wish I had my Coke Zero over here because I drink a few of those every day. Artificial sweeteners aren't bad. They get a very bad rep for whatever reason. Um, they're absolutely fine. I know plenty of people that advocate for them, people high up in the field, doctors, everybody. It's not a bad thing at all. On top of that, the caffeine from a diet soda that has caffeine helps with weight loss because it does suppress your appetite by a little bit. There's nothing bad about it. You can do all the research you want to, and you will find that there's nothing really bad about artificial sweeteners. They get such a terrible rep that it's just, you know, I can beat the same horse over and over again, but people just are going to believe what they want to. But if you want to try, drink them, get your blood work done like I do, and you will find that if you lose weight and you still drink them, you'll still be a lot healthier because your health markers will improve if you lose weight and get healthier. But it's much worse for you to drink liquid calories by regular soda because that will not help your weight loss. And that's going to be more unhealthy for the person. See who else we got here. IF plus strength training. So if you want to strength train and do intermittent fasting, it's I would not say it's the most beneficial thing regarding getting stronger because you do limit your eating, especially if you work out in the mornings. You're going to be working out on an empty stomach. Intermittent fasting and strength training is probably not the best combination, but if you want to try it, give it a shot. It's not the worst either. It's just about how your energy is for the workout if you're working out on an empty stomach. That's all it is. But it's probably different. There's better choices for strength training, which revolve around eating continuously before the workout, get some more energy so you get stronger, that kind of stuff. Are protein bars okay for a quick after work snack? I mean, protein bars are good. Yeah, they're a quick snack. They're usually non-perishable. You can put them into your pocket, into your bag. They're quick and easy. Definitely do it. Doing compound exercises using dumbbells, enough to build muscle, or should I go to the gym and use the machines? That depends how heavy your dumbbells are. If your dumbbells are very light and you're doing compound exercises, it may be decent enough to build some kind of like beginner muscles, kind of like get yourself a little bit into the game. But if you want to build some actual significant muscle and your dumbbells are super light, you're probably not going to get that far. You will still burn calories and stuff like that, but you want to use a significant amount of weight within a specific rep range that will create some kind of muscular failure that will inhibit the muscle growth. That's what you want to do. But using like 5-pound dumbbells, you're going to grow out of those very, very quickly. But if your dumbbells are relatively heavy at home, you can definitely utilize those in a great way to build some muscle. But it depends how heavy they are, how strong you are, how difficult the exercises are compared to the weights you're using, all of these things. So what are the questions we get here? Yeah, I appreciate everybody watching this. It's awesome to see all these questions. I'm sure if anybody has a question, not somebody, but dozens of other people will have the same exact question. So by me answering one, I'm likely answering a lot of different people. So feel free to drop down any questions you have regarding fitness, nutrition, weight loss, all that kind of stuff. See who else we got here. Do I not answer messages on Messenger? So I get so many messages that it's literally impossible for me to get back to everyone. I'm literally just one person, and the amount of messages I get is just impossible to get back to. So I apologize to anybody who hasn't heard back from me. I would need like 100+ hours in the day to actually get back to everyone. So I will get back to you when I can, but it's just not enough time in the day. I gotta work on this. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I got to take care of my clients, everything. So it's a lot of that goes into this. How to start your weight loss journey. You got to lose a lot of weight, but you don't know where to start. That's a great question. It applies to a lot of people. So what I would do if I was to start a weight loss journey, I would not even count calories, to be honest, because that's just it's details that matter later on. If I was just starting my weight loss journey, here's exactly what I would do. I would not do so much cardio, and if it was, I would only walk. I would go to the gym or work out at home about 3 to 4 times a week with, compound exercises. So not really, bicep curls, but more like shoulder presses, rows, squats, chest presses, body weight exercises, stuff like that. But most importantly, I would just tweak my nutrition. I would make sure most of my carbs come from fruits and vegetables. That's what I would do, because when we try to when we struggle with losing weight, a lot of times people eat a lot of calories from carbs that don't fill them up. Potatoes, fried rice, French fries, maybe it's bread, toast, stuff like that. But if you just make the general idea to get most of your carbs, not all, most of your carbs from fruits and vegetables, you're already going to be so much more full from fruits and vegetables that you have no space to eat the carbs that are very small but high in calories. I would also eat more lean protein, maybe chicken breast, turkeys, leaner cuts of steak, leaner cuts of pork, leaner ground beef. I would make sure every single one of my meals contains protein with it. As far as dressings and seasonings, people don't realize how many extra calories they consume from oils, dressings, and seasonings. Not seasonings, but like sauces. I would make sure they're lower calorie, like low sugar, like ketchups, barbecue sauces. I would also limit my oil use because oil is extremely caloric and it doesn't really fill us up. So I would use less oil, but do a bit of tweaks that reduces my overall calories, but doesn't change things too much, because people just end up being too frustrated from the beginning, and they become frustrated because they do way too much. And if you do less from the beginning, you're going to find that it's actually pretty simple. And by doing more, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because it doesn't help you out. So start slow. And once you cross that bridge where you want to amp it up a little bit, maybe get a bit more detail with the nutrition, more detail with your workouts and cardio, then kind of start to implement that. But in the beginning, you don't need to do all of these things. Do them slowly, apply a few choices, eat generally better for you, more vegetables, more fruits, leaner proteins, more liquids. Make sure your snacks are dialed in, because snacking is a huge part of why people struggle to lose weight. If you figure out all of these things, it'll be a lot easier for you. Hopefully that helps. If that helps, let me know down below in the comments. Stay away from processed food. So that's a big one. Processed food, I'll get a lot of hate for this, but it's really, processed food is not bad for you at all. Processed food is actually a lot easier to digest than whole foods. And because it's already halfway digested for you. You think about a protein shake, right? It's already halfway digested for you because it's already broken down so your body can digest it quicker, and it's not going to fill you up for as long. So as far as processed food being bad, it's not bad for you. It's actually a lot easier on digestion. And in regards to weight loss, you have to, it not have to, but it's a better idea to choose foods that are more difficult to digest. Because if food is more difficult or takes longer to digest, that's better for weight loss, because the longer food takes to digest, the longer you'll be fuller for. Whereas if you eat processed foods, it will digest easier and faster, which means you won't be fuller for as long period of a time. So these choices you got to make. So I appreciate it, Deidre. Processed food is not bad for you. Don't believe the hype. It's not. That's not how it works. Do protein shakes make you gain weight if you're not doing hardcore workouts? No, protein shakes are just protein. If you want to eat a piece of chicken breast or drink a protein shake, it's totally up to you. I would just prefer to eat my food instead of drinking it because I want to stay full. So, personal reasons, I like to eat my food, chew my food, not drink it. But if I want a protein smoothie, I'll drink a protein smoothie. So as far as processed foods, I know a lot of people will not want to hear this because there's a whole big thing about processed foods being bad for you. It's processed foods are easier to digest, point blank. And is it bad for you? Well, is it in alignment with your nutrition goals? Does it have the proteins, the calories that you want to eat? So for me, most of my food is not processed because processed food doesn't fill me up as long. So I eat most of my foods from whole foods. But if I want some processed food, like a shake or something, I do that because it's fine for me. If I want to eat a wrap or something, yeah, it has some additives, but those things aren't bad for you. There's additives in even vegetables and fruits. It doesn't make it bad for you. So it's not black and white like that, as people may think it is. Oh, it's processed, it's bad, I can't eat it. It doesn't work like that. So if anybody else has any other questions, just write down in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to get back to as many people as I can. Do I use any pre-workout drinks, energy drinks? Pre-workout, I used to back in the day, but as far as energy, I use it occasionally because as far as, you got to think about it this way, if you amp yourself up for a workout, you kind of try to reach that level of energy every time you go to a workout. So if you take pre-workout one day, the next day your energy will be here until you take the pre-workout or the caffeine, which means that you kind of gotta, your tolerance is something that you try to meet every time. So I try to keep my tolerance very low, because if my tolerance is down here and sporadically I use pre-workout over here, it doesn't have as big of an impact on me. But if I use pre-workout every time, I try to reach this tolerance level every time. It's not easy. So I try to use as little pre-workout as I can, unless I really need to. And when I say I really need to, is maybe when I just don't feel like doing what I have to do that day. And I know I still got to do it, but I just need a little extra kick. Maybe I have pre-workout or a cup of coffee. For me, coffee is the most important one. That's the one that I use usually, but occasionally, maybe a few times a month, I may have a pre-workout. But even that, I've been just kind of stepping back away from because it's not really needed. No supplement is needed. No protein powder is needed. It's a supplement. If you're not getting enough from your nutrition, use it. But it's not necessary whatsoever. You eat so little, lots of vegetables, you can't lose weight. So when people say eat a little bit is relative to what the person, subjective to the person and what they're doing. So if you're eating little, what does that actually mean? A little for you may actually be a lot. A lot for me may be a little for you. So I would say if you're not making progress, not losing weight, but you're eating a little bit, Write down how much you're eating relative to how many calories it is that you should be eating versus the food that you're actually eating. And what you're going to find is that what we think is healthy or a little bit of food tends to be a lot more than we think it is. And this kind of inaccuracy tends to just keep us in the same yo-yo cycle for years. But once you dial in at least 80% about what you're eating and how many calories are in what you're eating, you're going to find that you're actually likely eating more than you think you are. And that will get you out of that plateau, which is why I say tracking your food, if even writing it down on a piece of paper, is so beneficial to everyone that will get you out of a plateau and will get you on the right track. So if you're not writing food down or tracking it, if there's one thing you take away from this video, just write down your food and track it, is going to be just beneficial for you. Do I walk every day to get a high step count? Yeah, I do most days, unless it's like pouring rain or snowing outside or like below freezing. Then I don't walk outside. I'm not sure what ITF is. I don't know if I did that or not because I don't know what that is. If somebody knows what ITF is, let me know down below. How do you detoxify your body? Definitely not with detox drinks, not with cleanses. Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, they all work wonders on your body. So you do not need a detox. You don't need a cleanse. You have organs. They do it for you. Absolutely not needed. Unless there's a medical reason because your organs are not doing what they're supposed to, then you should probably go to a medical professional. But it is not through a detox or a cleanse. Complete waste of money. Don't look at that. It's just a marketing gimmick. Cool. I'm not sure what ITF is. Oh, intermittent fasting. Yeah, IF. Yeah, so I did do IF. I do it on and off. It's not magical. I covered this before in the video early on. Intermittent fasting works because it reduces your overall caloric intake, not because it's magical. Do I do personal training? I only coach online. So I have a number of clients. I am limited in my spots. So if you think that you'd be a good fit for my program, shoot me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as I can because, like I said before, I get a lot of messages from people and I can't get back to everyone. But if you do want to talk about what that will look like for you, if there's a spot open, just shoot me a message. I'll get back to you as far as coaching. What's the best way to keep track of progress? What do you think is the most important step in starting weight loss? The most important, how to keep track of progress is to write it down. Piece of paper, an app. There's a million apps out there where you can track your progress. Track your weigh-ins, track when you did a workout, how many steps you did. On my phone, I have a step counter, which I use to see my steps throughout the week in the past month. And as far as how do you start a weight loss program, don't look at it as a short term. Look at the long-term play. Is what I'm doing now sustainable 5 years from now? If you're doing keto, probably not. If you're doing a detox or a cleanse, it's guaranteed not to be sustainable. So take a sustainable approach, eat better generally, get most of your carbs from fruits and vegetables, walk every day if you want to. Try to incorporate some kind of strength training routine, even if you're a woman, because it's beneficial for everyone to put on some muscle. It only plays a favor in your journey. So work out 2 times a week, 3 times a week, maybe once a week just to get yourself started and get into a rhythm of things. So eat a bit better, reduce liquid calories, reduce a lot of greasy food, not eliminate. I never say eliminate, just reduce, right? Reduce the calories because they don't fill you up, but they got a whole bunch of calories in them. Would I recommend the MyFitnessPal app? Absolutely. Yeah, I recommend it to my clients. I personally still use MyFitnessPal. It's not magical, it's just a good, easy tool to use. You need a weightlifting program for your son. He's 18 and 350. So I was about 365 around 18 or so. So I understand what your son is going through. As far as the weightlifting routine, first ask your son if he wants to even weightlift. He may not want to, because you may want him to weightlift, but what your son wants to do may be completely different. So I would have conversation with him about what he wants to do. But if he actually wants to weight lift, I would say um, pushing exercises, pulling exercises, compound exercises. So when I say compound, you're working multiple joints, right? It's not just a bicep curl; it's a shoulder press. It's a row, multiple joints, multiple muscle groups being worked. Instead of leg extensions, focus on squats, leg presses, deadlifts, that kind of stuff. You want to incorporate more muscle groups to get kind of more bang for your buck, if you want to call it that way. He's embarrassed at the gym. Let me tell you a story about one of the first time I went to the gym. I was about 18 to 19, and I went to the gym my first time, and I quit. I felt embarrassed, out of place. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like everybody was looking at me. I'm like, what's this kid doing here? So I left. I didn't go back until I got the news from my doctor that said you won't live past 30 at the current rate you're going. That's when I had to force myself to go back because I had no idea what I should be doing. People that are healthy go to the gym. So I was completely embarrassed and I quit the gym the first time I ever went. But the second time I went back, it was from a necessity standpoint, from a survival standpoint, and I haven't looked back since. So I still go to the gym, and if he's embarrassed at the gym, know that he doesn't have to go to the gym. There's tons of home workouts he can do. But if he doesn't want to do even home workouts, walking is totally fine. Nutrition is by far the most important part. So if he feels embarrassed to work out, he can reduce his body weight by eating better, generally. If he wants to walk a bit, that will just help the cause. And then once he feels more comfortable with himself, then he can start to, incorporate the gym once a week. Maybe not even weights, maybe just trying out the bike in the gym or the treadmill and get more, accommodated to the gym, people there, maybe make some friends and stuff like that. Just the gym environment is what he should be focusing on, not the actual exercises in the gym, because it is about a personal level, personal, feeling. If you're still watching me, type in a live down below, or if you're going to watch this later on the replay, just type in replay down below so I know when you saw this. And one last question before I go. If you have any other questions, just shoot me down in the messages. I'll read it and I'll get back to one more person. Thank you, Melissa. One more question. This is a good one. So how long did it take me to lose 135 pounds? I lost it in around 4 years. It's difficult to say exactly how long, but around 4 years. And there's going to be probably thousands of people out there that say I lost 150 pounds in a year, which would make my progress seem slow. And my progress was slow. But the reason why it was slow, and I'm very transparent about this, is because I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. I did nothing but cardio because I had no idea what I should be doing. And people that are healthy do cardio. Did tons of cardio. It took me around 4 years. And I made a ton of mistakes. I plateaued for years, not months that people complain about. Years I plateaued for. I also tried every diet supplement under the sun, thinking that is going to be the magical solution for me, which was not the case. I had a lot of eating. I call them eating disorders, but because I binge ate a lot, I felt tremendous guilt. I felt extreme. I did extreme restrictions, which caused guilt and just binge eating afterwards, to starvations or skipping most of the meals of my day the day afterwards because of the guilt. So it took me a long time. And I'm very transparent about this, which is why I'll never tell you, try the simple method of 3 steps, you lose 50 pounds in 6 hours. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's that's why I share my story with everybody here, so you can not make the mistakes that I did, which is why I will never pitch you some kind of stupid supplement, some kind of gimmick or fad. I'll tell you exactly how it is. And even though other people may market themselves, oh, try this quick method. Like, there's no special gimmick, there's no special method. It's all about enjoyment, sustainability, doing what you like and how effective it is, and just about being good enough. Because my mentality was never be good enough. It was always be perfect. And the perfect mentality never lasts. And when it doesn't last and I felt like a failure, I felt like, well, Now I got to start back from square one. And this happened over and over again until I adopted the be good enough mentality, enjoy yourself. And that's when it actually started to be sustainable, you know? So hopefully this stream was helpful. If anybody wants me to do this again, maybe I will. I don't know if there's a need for this. If somebody, this is my first one. So if you want to see this again, uh, just type number 2 down below so I can know to make a second one. This is my first one. I would love to if there's a need for it. I'm not just going to do this if nobody wants to see this. But if this was helpful, if you got any value from this video, drop a fire emoji down below. Share this Q&A with somebody else that may want to see this. And I appreciate everyone for being here. And if there's enough, requests or whatever to see a second one, I would definitely love to do one. And I'll see you next time.